Hi, folks. This is Kim Reads Urantia. Welcome to my little podcast. What is this? Podcast YouTube channel or something? My program. Okay, we're going to read from the Urantia book, but first, Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey, March 23rd. This is Friedrich Nietzsche. And Nietzsche, I think, is very misunderstood, especially among theologians. He wrote the book that said, God is dead. But I don't think that's a thing that he was, intentionally celebrating. I think that what he meant to caution us about was that now that the Enlightenment has happened and people have this new power of technology and science and philosophy in our hands, that we don't need God anymore. He actually said we have killed God, and I think that was kind of a warning to us not to slip into a nihilist frame of mind, because if there's no God, nothing really matters, nothing really means anything, and it doesn't. And I think that's kind of what happened. I think that was prophetic. I think nihilistic attitudes are a big problem, are causing problems, because nihilism basically said that anything goes, doesn't matter, nothing really means anything, nothing matters, nothing really matters. And I see this reflected in, like, the world is an illusion, and all this, we're all in our minds and stuff, and I don't like that. I think there needs to become some cohesion in our social social experience. What we manifest here in this world, we manifest together, and we're losing an awareness of that cohesion. And I think God and common faith provides that social cohesion, and without that, we're kind of like a bunch of little pieces of dust scattered around in the beam of light, and we're not really, we're pretty incapacitated. But maybe we need to go through this phase of existence because what we were creating maybe wasn't in line with the will of God, and things like, I don't know, just I guess I just think Nietzsche was misunderstood, and I think he was a very bright and thoughtful person. But anyway, I'm just gonna read this. I tend to get off a little bit on tangents, but I'm just gonna read this. Okay. Oh, sky above me, pure deep sky, abyss of light. Gazing into you, I tremble with divine desires. May my depth be to toss myself up to your height. May I learn, like you, to smile down with luminous eyes out of miles of distance, while under us constraint and empty purpose and guilt steam like rain. May I, like you, say a vast, unbounded yes and amen. So he's not capitalizing the you as a reference to deity, but still, I think he's using phrases here which refer to God. I tremble with divine desires. I want to be more wholly in myself. This is an interesting sentence. May my depth be to toss myself up to your height. So that's a Taoist idea too, is that how low we go is actually a measure of the spiritual heights we are able to attain. So we have, he has this spiritual range by going very low and feeling very low about himself. That's reflected in, tossing himself up to your height. May I learn like you to smile down with luminous eyes. And of course, he feels that constraint and empty purpose and guilt coming from the earth, not really the earth, but the consciousnesses that are bound here. Right, that are bound in nihilism, which I think is what he was warning us about. Yes, okay, I'm going to leave it there. Okay. Very good, Mr. Nietzsche. All right, so let's look at our Urantia book. Today we are reading part 2 of paper 195, entitled The Roman Influence. The Romans bodily took over Greek culture, putting representative government in the place of government by lot. Okay. Government by lot, probably, I don't know if they had to take turns being representatives or draw who their representatives were going to be in some kind of a random fashion. And presently, this change favored Christianity, in that Rome brought into the whole Western world a new tolerance for strange languages, peoples, and even religions. Much of the early persecution of Christians in Rome was due solely to their unfortunate use of the term kingdom in their preaching. The Romans were tolerant of any and all religions, but very resentful of anything that savored of political rivalry. And so when these early persecutions, due so largely to misunderstanding, died out, the field for religious propaganda was wide open. The Roman was interested in political administration. He cared little for either art or religion, but he was unusually tolerant of both. Oriental law was stern and arbitrary. Greek law was fluid and artistic. Roman law was dignified and respect-breeding. Roman education bred an unheard of and stolid loyalty. Right. The early Romans were politically devoted and sublimely consecrated individuals. They were honest, zealous, and dedicated to their ideals. Okay. All right. The early Romans were politically devoted and sublimely consecrated individuals. They were honest, zealous, and dedicated to their ideals, but without a religion worthy of the name. Small wonder that their Greek teachers were able to persuade them to accept Paul's Christianity. And these Romans were a great people. They could govern the Occident because they did govern themselves. Such unparalleled honesty, devotion, and stalwart self-control was ideal soil for the reception and growth of Christianity. It was easy for these Greco-Romans to become just as spiritually devoted to an institutional church as they were politically devoted to the state. The Romans fought the church only when they feared it as a competitor of the state. Rome, having little national philosophy or native culture, took over Greek culture for its own and boldly adopted Christ as its moral philosophy. Christianity became the moral culture of Rome, but hardly its religion in the sense of being the individual experience in spiritual growth of those who embrace the new religion in such a wholesale manner. Okay, let's look at that statement a little bit. Christianity became the moral culture of Rome, but not having to do with hardly its religion in the sense of being an individual experience of personal growth. Okay, so because they weren't interested in personal growth as much as they were interested in political solidarity, kind of. They were interested in the state, and their empire that was really, it was a great thing. It was the biggest thing the world had ever seen up to then. Right. But they weren't interested in individual spirituality. True indeed, many individuals did penetrate beneath the surface of all this state religion and found for the nourishment of their souls the real values of the hidden meanings held within the latent truths of Hellenized and paganized Christianity. Okay, so some people broke through that. The Stoic and his sturdy appeal to nature and conscience had only the better prepared all Rome to receive Christ, at least in an intellectual sense. The Roman was by nature and training a lawyer.
Hey, Mom.
Yeah, honey?
I need your help right now.
Okay, I'm almost done. I can't just stop in the middle of it. The Roman was by nature and training a lawyer. He revered even the laws of nature. And now, in Christianity, he discerned in the laws of nature the laws of God. A people that could produce Cicero and Virgil were ripe for Paul's Hellenized Christianity. And so did these Romanized Greeks force both Jews and Christians to philosophize their religion, to coordinate its ideas and systematize its ideals, to adapt religious practices to the existing current of life. So it made it more practical, is what I'm hearing here. And all this was enormously helped by translation of the Hebrew scriptures into Greek and by the later recording of the New Testament in the Greek tongue. The Greeks, in contrast to the Jews and many other peoples, had long provisionally believed in immortality, some sort of survival after death. And since this was the very heart of Jesus' teaching, it was certain that Christianity would make a strong appeal to them. A succession of Greek cultural and Roman political victories had consolidated the Mediterranean lands into one empire, with one language and one culture, and had made the Western world ready for one God. Judaism provided this God, but Judaism was not acceptable as a religion to these Romanized Greeks. Philo helped some to mitigate their objections, but Christianity revealed to them an even better concept of one God, and they embraced it readily. Interesting, yeah. The Romans didn't accept Yahweh as a God, but they could accept Christ. That's very interesting. Okay. I'm not going to get into the dynamics of that. My son needs me here, so I have to go. Thank you for listening, and we will see you soon. Okay.